online, or men that identify as sissy cross-dressers, and all they want to talk about is getting fucked by other men. On their social media, all they post is chicks with dicks. Those are trannies. And tranny is somebody who had a upper body post-op, like they had breast implants put in, right? And they have a male dick between their legs. From the waist, from the head down to the waist, they look like a woman. But the bottom half of them, they still have their man parts. So who the hell, they're trannies, basically. I love when I get these guys who call me on phone sex and tell me that they had a hot date with a woman, and then I'm like, really? So what did the woman do? They're like, oh, the woman fucked me with a strap-on, but it wasn't a strap-on, it was her dick. I'm like, well, she's not a woman with a strap-on, she's a tranny. That's number one. So technically, anything that has a dick between its legs is still a fucking man in my eyes. You should not address yourself as she unless you have a vagina or a man-made pussy between your legs. That's just how I feel about it. A lot of people may not like this type of conversation, but this is real life shit here. Where I come from, there's two genders, male and female, okay? If you identify as something other than what your thing is, great. But the fact of the matter is that you shouldn't be identifying or calling or addressing yourself as a female unless you had a sex change. Then that to me is a little bit different. Guys, I'm not being a bitch, but I fucking tell it like it is, and if you don't fucking like it, then whatever. But that's just my opinions, and this makes for a very interesting subject about people who cross-dress. Because there's a lot of people who cross-dress that really do have severe mental problems, and that's kind of like where I'm getting at. So basically, cross-dressing is the act of wearing items of clothing not commonly associated with one's sex. Cross-dressing has been used for purposes of disguise, comfort, comedy, and self-expression in modern times and throughout history. Think about it. Movies like Tootsie, Marathon Man, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Birdcage. These are all men portraying women in the movie. It's kind of interesting, kind of makes for a good chuckle, but believe it or not, there are people in real life who do this kind of shit too, and it kind of makes you wonder. What is a cross-dressing male? The term cross-dressing is usually, but not always, referred to cisgender, heterosexual men who wear clothing and accessories that are considered feminine or associated with women. Folks might cross-dress for fun, for political motives, or for sexual reasons, or to entertain. So it's kind of interesting. Who started the actual act of cross-dressing, right? Does anybody know that out there? If you do, email me. I'm curious to see if you know what the result, because I know what it is, but let's see if you guys and girls know what it is. According to Norse mythology, Thor and Loki were two of the earliest cross-dressers known to man. Nobody knows the exact year the Icelandic people began telling this story, but it wasn't written down until the 11th century CE. But its oral equivalent had likely existed for hundreds or even thousands of years. Okay? Kind of an interesting thing. So you can blame, or not so much blame, you can be safe to say that cross-dressing came from the Icelandic people, from Scandinavians, from like Thor, like that Iceland, that sort of era. It's kind of interesting, right? Think about it. That's why all those Vikings are very beautiful looking with their long hair, and because they're probably dressing as women, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. And look, I'm not disbarring or saying anything wrong about cross-dresser. You are who you are. But majority of the time I'm on my phone sex sites, when I get the phone calls from these guys, they're all guys who are either bi-curious, bi, or kind of experimenting. 99.9% of them are all wearing panties, sitting home, jerking their tiny little pathetic, useless dicks, and that's why they're cross-dressers, because they're not man enough to be real men. They have a feminine side to them. or they're just gay and in denial and in the closet. And so be it, whatever you decide to do in your life. But if you are gay and in the closet, you should really come out of the closet and you'll be a happier person instead of hiding it behind your cross-dressing bullshit. So, I mean, you know, it kind of makes for kind of an interesting show if you think about it. I mean, look, I've been a dominatrix for 32 years and I've had 4 or 5 cross-dressers in my life, and every single one of them is worse than the other. They all top from the bottom. They all are in competition with the mistress or master. The spotlight has to be on them. It's like, me, 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 me. Well, guess what? You are not in the fucking spotlight any longer. You are not prettier than mistress or more masculine than master. You are just a pathetic, low-life, cross-dressing slut that gets cheap thrills by wearing women's clothing and being in denial about being a faggot. That's basically what you're, like, doing. So if you can come out of the closet, you'd be a much happier person. And you shouldn't use women as your beards either. Women are not cover-up for fags in disguise. That's another fucking one of my personal problems. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Think about it. How many men out there listening to the show are sitting home in panties, jerking their tiny, pathetic little dicks while listening to Mistress talk? Think about it. Probably a lot of you. How many of you listening at home are sucking on a dildo for the first time or trying to fuck your own ass with a toy or a plug? Why? Because you're not ballsy enough to come out of the closet and go out in public and get yourself a real dick. I mean, think about it. Or you're happy with your little cross-dressing private life and you don't want to tell anybody about it. But the thrill, most people who cross-dress are into exhibitionism and humiliation. Think about it. You could be the ugliest, fattest man that's walked the face of the earth. And you are literally dressing as the opposite sex. And there's nothing really girly about you. You don't even shave your face or your legs or your crotch or any of that. And you're putting on a pair of panties and you basically look like Chewbacca wearing a pair of panties. Dudes, if you want to become women, you have to shave that shit off. Like, seriously. Who the fuck wants to hang out with a hairy crossdresser? Or a hairy man, for that matter. Hair, to me, is absolutely fucking disgusting. If you want to date me and you have body hair, fucking move along. Men with hair are absolutely repulsive. So, to me, you know, cross-dressers are supposed to be sexy and supposed to look like women. And women do not have hair like that. That's just, you know, pretty crazy. A lot of people that I've met in the past tell me that they like to be a cross-dresser because it's a hobby for them. A hobby to be shopping for women's clothes. A hobby to be shopping for women's makeup. A hobby, what's really a hobby? A hobby is like painting or reading or doing puzzles, or that's like hobby stuff. Cross-dressing really isn't a hobby to me. I don't know why people classify it as a hobby. It's weird. Or fucking the hobby horse. I do want to thank our sponsor, Spunk Lube, for allowing us to for sponsoring the show, by the way. They sponsor the BDSM Alive Radio Network, and they also sponsor the Whip Appeal Show. And I want to thank them for continued sponsorship. So, Jeff, thank you very much. I hope you're listening to the show. And stuff of that nature. So, you know, Mistress was going to do a live show on Friday, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be. I may decide to do a live show the following week. I'm just not sure where. Mistress is having a lot of personal stuff going on in her life right now. Having surgery 8 weeks ago, not being able to heal, being harassed by ex-boyfriend or ex-submissive, and now his cunt rag bitch sister who's been harassing me also. And boy, these two motherfuckers are in for a rude awakening. That's all I have to say. And I am not putting up with or tolerating any insubordinate bullshit from anyone any longer. Mistress makes all the rules, and even though, you know, I'm not really in that life with these people, I'm still making my own rules up as I go along. Nobody will threaten or fucking harass me ever. And if you do, then expect to be paid by the Pied Piper, and then you'll have to face consequences for your actions. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Am I ready for another submissive? Not really. Honestly, I don't want another sub in my presence for a very long time unless they can prove utter devotion and not top from the bottom and not make a pest out of themselves, and I would be interested. But for right now, I'm really not interested in that. I prefer doing my radio show, talking about a lot of different things and hoping that some people can learn some stuff from this stuff. So anyway, but other than that, that's pretty what it is. So I don't know. I mean, look, not that I diss cross-dressers. Honestly, in my whole 32 years of being a dominatrix, I have to say that I am officially retired from dealing with sissies and cross-dressers. Mistress has had enough bullshit in her life, and I really don't need any more. And after the last cross-dresser that was in my life, I think, honestly, this person nauseated me so bad that I'm not interested in any more cross-dressers at the present time. When I do my phone sex, on occasion, I get one or two that are like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, you know what? I'm really not interested in hearing about how you want to suck dick and take cock up your ass. To me, you're a fucking closet fag. Just come out of the fucking closet already and admit that you're fucking gay. Like, this is what I've been telling them. Some of them, I think, kind of like it to some degree because it's the truth and only I can tell them the truth when they call my confessional line. So it's almost like I'm priestess, mistress Candy, and I'm, basically, listening to all their dirty secrets in their life. And a lot of them call me and tell me that they've been sucking dick behind their wives' back or their girlfriend's back, and they've been going to like adult theaters and playing around with other people and I say to them, why would you do that to somebody? Like, think about it. Again, the sissy crossdresser goes, me, 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 me. This lifestyle is not about you. If you are wanting to get into the good graces of a mistress or master, your purpose is to serve the mistress or master. There is no fun in BDSM for sissies or crossdressers when it comes to having sex with other men while you are under or owned and collared by a mistress. If you go and do that, that's a surefire way to get yourself dis-fucking-smithed. When you are owned by somebody and you wear a collar from that person, you are technically owned by that other individual. Therefore, you are not allowed to make any rules or decisions or anything for yourself without clearing it with your mistress or master. And I find that no matter what life I've been in, no matter if I was 20 years old, 30 years old, now in my 40s, all cross-dressers and sissies basically do whatever the fuck they want, and they don't listen to nobody but themselves. That, to me, right there is a big red flag in any BDSM-type relationship, and not interested in that. If my next slave or next submissive, if they even tell me that they're bisexual or they're cross-dressers, I'm not even giving them the fucking time of day. Why? Because to me, I don't need that in my life. I had it for 8 years and I'm done with that bullshit. Mistress wants to be worshipped and adored by somebody who actually knows their place, understands their place, and is not going to top from the bottom and do things behind my back without telling me. So that right there, if you do or even think you're going to do anything like that to me, don't even bother contacting me. I'm completely done with sissies and cross-dressers, quite honestly. I don't mind talking to you on phone sex to make money, but you can rest your ass assured that I am not going to be seeing you for pro-dom sessions, and I'm sure as hell not going to be wanting to play with you in real life because I'm not interested in having a sissy or a crossdresser who's in BDSM for themselves. That's not what your purpose in life is. And as far as me dating anyone, oh God, if I find out a guy is bisexual, fuck you, next, move on. I am not dealing with bisexual men who think it's okay because you tell me something once that you think it's okay to try to marry somebody behind my back. That I'm fucking completely, totally done with. and want nothing to do with. From now on, Mistress is only going to be dating straight